This is the Growing Light Podcast with Desiree, episode 26, My Warning for You. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you a warning that the Lord gave me for my family, and that He also asked me to share with you. And I pray that His Spirit will be with me as I try to deliver this message to an empty room, and that Spirit will give me the words to speak, because I want to get this right. After the Lord gave me this warning, I was very thankful for it, because I always like to know what I need to plan for next, right? Like what's on the horizon. But when He let me know that He wanted me to share it with others, like on this podcast, I'll admit that part of me didn't want to. Doesn't want to, I guess. But the other part of me does. The part of me that loves the Lord, that wants to honor Him, that wants to follow Him wherever He might call, even into things that the natural man in me might say, that's suicide, don't do it. Because the natural man is wrong. And I know how I receive personal revelation. And the only time that I felt that let me down was when I didn't act in faith. In other words, I got the prompting, I did a half-hearted step forward, and then a wait and see attitude. Not a, okay, that's what's going to happen, and then step forward. So as you hear this warning from me, I don't expect you to believe me. In fact, I hope you don't. I'm a nobody, and I want you to consult with the Lord. Let the Spirit guide you. Let the Spirit help you determine whether or not this message is from Him and applies to you, and what He would have you do. Because I don't have the keys to receive revelation for other people, just for me and my family. And this is what the Lord's been telling me to prepare for. Since one of my goals with this channel is to not only help prepare the world, well, as a way to help prepare the world, my goal with this channel, with this podcast, and with the content that I share, one of the goals is to help others learn to recognize and receive personal revelation. So I'm going to share exactly how this came about and share the story, okay? This revelation came to me while I was driving on the freeway, talking to my mom on the phone, hands-free. And I was driving down the road, talking, and this image flashed into my mind. And it was enough. It was interesting because it was a picture of a highway, not a freeway, a highway, right? And far in the distance, I could see something lying beside the road, and I couldn't quite make out what it was. So I was able to just sort of zoom in with my eyes in this little image, this little vision that popped into my mind, and I was able to see what it was. I've never received revelation this way. And you're like, but Desiree, you just said that you know how you receive revelation, and this is... Yes, I did just say that. So this particular part was new to me, and I thought that that was really interesting, the way the Lord speaks to us. And I've heard of other people sharing experiences where they were warned, actually, and an image popped into their mind. So you're wondering why I said what I said, right? That, I know how to receive revelation. It's because later in the day, as I was reading my scriptures, which is the way that's my tried and true method of receiving revelation. Either it's thoughts that come to my mind while I'm reading, or it's literally the words coming off the page. And as I read that day, the first scripture, so what I'll do is I will, spend some time praying, connecting, reading, studying. And when I feel ready, I will turn randomly in the scriptures to see what the Lord would have me know, often with a question. I don't remember on this particular day if there was a question or if I was just seeing if there was something he had to tell me. And the first scripture was about trusting in the Lord. And the second scripture was about trusting in the Lord. And the third scripture was not about trusting in the Lord. It was Helaman 1:20. And if you don't remember, because I certainly wouldn't, in Helaman 1:20, we read about the Lamanites invading the Nephites. And they were prepared for the Lamanites to attack the outer cities. But the Lamanites didn't do that this time. They decided to go right for the center, right for Zarahemla, and take over the main city of Zarahemla, or the main city of the Nephites, Zarahemla, and they killed the chief judge. And at the time, as I read, as I pondered, well, what do those three scriptures have to do with one another? And prayed about it, I had the thought, I wonder if this has anything to do with that weird image that popped into my mind earlier today. And the answer was yes. Yes, it did. So let me tell you about the weird image that popped into my mind. So what I saw, I told you already, was a highway, right? It was somewhere between Salt Lake Valley or Utah Valley, I can't remember where it was, somewhere between there and Star Valley, okay? And so just open grassland with mountains on the sides and just an open, empty highway. And next to this open, empty highway was something kind of reddish, brownish, orangish. So it reminded me of a Jersey cow, kind of, but probably more red. And it was huge. And as I looked closer, I realized that it was not a cow, it was a bull. And it was dying. It was, but it was kind of twitching. And it looked stiff, kind of like scared stiff. And it also looked honestly beautiful, like had a beautiful coat. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of shiny, but unnaturally shiny. And it was also unnaturally large, like inflated, you might say, bloated. And asked the Lord, so what does it mean? Well, if you haven't figured this out already, the cow, the bull, represents both our president, Donald Trump, and our economy. Our president will not make it to the end of his term. I believe he'll be murdered. And I believe the color is also significant of the bull. I believe that it means that this will happen during one of the 7 major Jewish feast days. I don't know which one. My guess would be the Day of Atonement. I wish I could remember more about that one. It's one in the fall, if I remember right. This fall? Next fall? I don't know. I asked. It's like, so when's the deadline? I need a deadline. And the Lord's answer was to keep our focus on Him. Right? To wake up every day, to ask Him what He would have you do, to connect through prayer and study, meditation with Him every day, multiple times a day, right? And just strive to have His Spirit with you always listening for His promptings and always acting on them. Not an easy thing to do, but well worth the effort and extremely important now, because we know that the righteous in this land will be blessed. We know they'll be warned and protected. Now that doesn't mean that nothing bad will ever happen to them, right? Or that they will never struggle. It doesn't mean that. I think of Alma and when they escaped into the wilderness and then later were put under bondage and then later escaped miraculously. So it doesn't mean that hard or bad things won't happen. What it does mean is the Lord will be with us. And when the Lord is for us, who can be against us, right? So back to the bull and the economy. If you've been following what's been happening for like the last 15 years, back to like 2008, you know that they've been trying to keep the economy from having a downturn, or the kind of downturn that it needs. And for those of us who are conservative in our financial, economic ideas, we tend to believe that you can't do this. This modern monetary management, there's a better word for it and I can't remember what it is going to lead to an even bigger crash. And that's where we're headed. Interestingly, after I had this experience and shared it with my parents, my mom then shared with me a video from Randy Brown's channel, Spiritual Survival, and they talk about, in this episode, they talk about the talk that President Eyring gave in this last general conference, and talks about an economic downturn. But it's going to be more than an economic downturn, okay? It's going to be really bad, and we need to be prepared. So, in order to be prepared, we need to be connected and in tune with the Spirit. So my plea for you, my plea to you, is to make that effort. I know the Lord loves you. I know He wants to help you and your family through this time. And I know that He will reach your reaching. So keep reaching, keep praying, keep learning and improving in your ability to receive revelation. That's what I have for you this week. And I wish I had more details for you when this was going to happen. I don't know. and we need the Lord. So let's look to Him.